Commander Rylis had fought countless battles across the galaxy, but this one was unlike any other. The war with the Korvax Empire had dragged on for years, consuming fleets and lives on both sides. When the final battle on the volcanic planet Vexor Prime ended in victory, Rylis was granted one reward by the Galactic Council, a reward of his choosing from the spoils of war. The Council offered weapons, technology, ships, or even planets. But Rylis shocked everyone when he requested a living reward, a prisoner from the Korvax forces. "Very well," said Councillor Jar, intrigued. "You may choose one prisoner." Rylis glanced at the holding cells where prisoners were kept, battle-hardened warriors, terrifying cyborgs, and towering beasts. But his eyes fell on a fragile figure sitting quietly in the corner. She was small, no taller than a human child, with pale lavender skin that shimmered faintly under the harsh lights. Her delicate frame was wrapped in tattered robes, and her violet eyes looked tired but intelligent. Her name was Lyra. "That one," Rylis said, pointing. "Are you sure?" "She looks weak, barely a fighter," one of his officers scoffed. Rylis shrugged. "I trust my instincts." A Frail prize. Lyra was brought to Rylis's flagship, the Starlance. At first, she seemed just as frail as the Council had said. She barely ate, she barely moved, and her voice was soft. But Rylis was curious. The Korvax Empire was notorious for hiding secrets behind appearances. So he kept her close, assigned scientists and medics to study her condition. Days turned into weeks, and something strange happened. Lyra began to change. She trained with the ship's martial instructors, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Her frail body grew stronger. Her violet eyes burned with fierce determination. "Commander," the chief scientist reported, "her DNA is unlike anything we've ever seen. She has dormant genetic markers that activate under stress, rapidly enhancing muscle density, reflexes, and neural processing." In other words, Lyra's weakness was a facade. The awakening. One day, a Korvax boarding party ambushed the Starlance during a supply run. The ship's defenses were overwhelmed, and chaos erupted. Rylis was cut off from his crew, cornered in the engineering bay. He called out for Lyra, hoping to keep her safe, but she was already there, standing beside him. Without hesitation, Lyra moved like a shadow, fast, precise, lethal. Her small frame blurred as she took down enemy soldiers with moves no one had taught her. Rylis watched in awe. The frail alien girl was a whirlwind of destruction. When the fight ended, the surviving Korvax retreated. Rylis clapped Lyra on the shoulder. "You're no prisoner," he said. "You're my secret weapon." Training the deadliest fighter. Back on the Starlance, Rylis dedicated himself to training Lyra. She learned piloting, hand-to-hand combat, advanced tactics, and weapon systems. Despite her small size, she could outmaneuver any fighter pilot and wield plasma blades with deadly grace. Her reflexes were so sharp, she could dodge laser blasts at point-blank range. Lyra's reputation began to spread across the fleet. Enemy commanders whispered about the Lavender Ghost, a phantom fighter who appeared and disappeared without warning, leaving destruction in her wake. But Lyra had another side too. She was kind, curious about the galaxy beyond war. She asked Rylis about stars, planets, life beyond battlefields. "You're more than a fighter," he told her once. "You're a symbol." The final battle. Months later, the Galactic Council called for a decisive assault on the Korvax homeworld, Cone 9. The Korvax had built a superweapon capable of destroying entire fleets. Rylis was appointed fleet commander. Lyra was by his side, ready for what might be the final fight. The battle was fierce. Cone 9's defenses were formidable. Ships were destroyed, allies lost, but Lyra led a special strike team through enemy lines. They infiltrated the superweapon's core chamber. Lyra fought through waves of Korvax guards with breathtaking speed and skill, her violet eyes glowing with fierce light. At the core, she confronted the Korvax Supreme Commander, a towering warlord with cybernetic implants and brutal strength. Their fight was brutal. The warlord underestimated her speed and agility. Lyra dodged his crushing blows and found his weak points. With a final, precise strike, she disabled the superweapon's core. The weapon exploded behind them as they escaped in a stolen fighter. The Korvax fleet collapsed without their ultimate weapon. A new era. Back at the Galactic Council, Rylis and Lyra were hailed as heroes. Lyra's story inspired the galaxy, proof that strength isn't always in muscle, but in will, heart, and spirit. Rylis looked at Lyra, no longer the frail prisoner, but the deadliest fighter in the galaxy. "You were right," he said, smiling. "You are more than just my reward. You're the future." Lyra nodded, her violet eyes bright with hope. "Together, we'll build a galaxy where no one's judged by appearances." Epilogue. Years later, the Starlance sailed through the stars, led by the legendary duo. Lyra trained a new generation of warriors, strong, compassionate, and fierce. The galaxy remembered how a frail alien girl became its deadliest fighter, and how choosing her changed everything.